Well, we might only get in-cab videos today because it is cold and the wind's blowing a lot. We got a little dusting of snow last night. Look at it over there on the mud. I got a little bit on the track. About 20 flakes fell. All right, well, I'm gonna go over there. Machine's been warming up for about 10 minutes. Start grading that mud out over there. So I made my way down here. So far, so good. I've graded out probably another 20 feet. I was sitting here looking at it. All that water that is down there in the pond where I cut out yesterday is all groundwater that came out. It's not connected to the other pond. You can see how crystal clear it is. So it might actually clean up to be a pretty nice pond. It'll probably get muddy as it fills up, as all the runoff off this field is going to run into it. But once all this gets established, I have a feeling it's going to stay a pretty nice clear pond. So everything seems to be going pretty good. It's a little difficult trying to stay on this slope and pull the mud up, transfer mud up, stay put without sinking completely out of sight. So I got one track out of the mud and then one's well over top of the mud. The mud's over top of the track. Trying to turn this mess of a pile into a nice shoreline. So I'll take this right here and I'll get a scoop. It's a lot of pre-planning to make this work. So I got to sit here and visualize how much mud I've got to be able to pull up, so that I know how far to pull that slope back, how much I can waste, just to make everything work out. If not, the shoreline's going to look like a spaghetti noodle, and I'm trying to keep it a nice, pretty round radius. As you can see, it ain't perfect, but it's pretty close. You can only do so much. I can take the bucket, push down right here, and the whole bank will go out like 12 inches. So just kind of gracefully scoop it out, spread it where it needs to go. As you can tell, the mud is almost up to the bottom glass. A lot of people ask me, why don't you use mats? Well, I can't use the thumb and the grading bucket at the same time, and it's just more aggravation than it's worth on the mats. Plus, sitting on a slope, mats only work good when you're flat. If you're on a slope, you just end up sliding right off of them. And yeah, it's just more aggravation than it's worth. Like if I was out there having to dredge the pond out deeper and needed the flotation, yeah, it would be good. I would probably just take this grading bucket off and just have the digging bucket on, where I could grab them and be able to use the thumb. And this doesn't really grab too good, not having teeth on it, and do it that way. But what I wanted to accomplish, it worked out all right. So I'm trying to level myself up a little bit with some of that drier material that I made on that cut yesterday. It being dry and a little bit frozen from last night, kind of helps level the machine up a little bit. Scoop this up and lay it right here, and this is what I build the bank out of. Everybody was always all worried about why I didn't have the grass burn off or rake it all out. As you can tell, I can't even hardly sit out here with the excavator. I don't think the dozer would have fared too well. Mulching with the mini would have just been a complete nightmare and a waste of time. And burning it off, well, it looks dry, but it's actually pretty wet. I don't know if you noticed, but like I said it would, it just kind of all gets mixed in and you can't even tell it's in there now. So have a little faith in me. It's not my first rodeo. Might be my second, but it's not my first. But I tell you one thing, you cannot grade out, you couldn't grade this stuff out with a dozer. Like all the grass and weeds and everything, you'd have to strip that off, because the excavator, you can kind of pack it in and smear it around. A dozer, no, it just clods up into a giant mess. Trying to get my slope right. This stuff's kind of wet. Doesn't really want to stay put. I just try to get it as uniform as possible. I mean, it's mud. You can only do so much with it. If I can get it to at least stay in its place overnight, it'll dry out enough where it'll stay put. And you'll notice that I leave this kind of high. I mean, it's going to kind of settle down a little bit over time. And that way it's still high enough when it does kind of settle out. It'll still be above the water level. Just shape it up like this. Slow process, but it's a effective process. You kind of get it all done in one pass. It's just I've been here for an hour and a half and I've only made it 100 feet. But it does make it look nice. So once he cuts the wheat here, all this is wheat planted right here. I know it looks just like ryegrass, but it's all wheat. He'll probably cut that, I would say, when will that get cut? May? April, May? Then he'll probably disc all this in. And this should be dry enough then where he can kind of run over this and dress it up a little bit better. Alright, well, I got a long ways to go. Well, I'm on the home stretch now. I got maybe another 200 feet to go. Things seems to be shaping up pretty good and going the way I want it, at least. Every time I move is about 10 more feet closer to the finish line. So last night I was sitting up in the office kind of looking over everything, and I thought there's a website you can go on and look up the old aerials of properties, and I pulled it up last night and got to looking at all this land because I was curious about why that was so deep right there. And in 1964 it shows up on the historical aerial of that being dug. So if you go back to like 1954, all these fields were here, but it was trees. All this was trees right here. And at some point in time between there and 1964, there was a 10-year age gap. They had dug that rectangle right there, so most likely with a drag line dug it, got a just straight, well, must have cleared trees obviously, but dug a pit right there for irrigation for the farm. And then it appeared, I kind of lost track, but somewhere in the 80s it looked like they made it bigger and used that dirt for the pond dam. So good 40 years that this has been like this, the best that I could figure out. But that hole right there has been there a long time. It might have been more towards the 90s. It was kind of, the images were blurry. You couldn't exactly see if it was just like kind of flooded the area or they had actually built the pond. pretty cool to go back and look at how stuff has changed over time. But this will definitely be the biggest transformation that this pond has ever seen in 60 years. Admit, after this job, I'm about tired of mud for a little while. It's fun to shape it up. Last two jobs have been nothing but just wet, sloppy mud, trying to get it to stay put. Actually, after this job, I'm going to have a little bit of a break for this machine. My next job, that big pond I've got to do, it's not going to be ready until about the end of February once I get back from going on a vacation. So I'm not going to start that until I get back from that. And got some other little projects. I got a dozer job I got to do not too far from here. A day or two. I got to grade out, push up some big berms for a concealed carry class. They do shooting out there and they need the safety berms pushed up. They've got some little ones where they want to make it more legit. Take this back to the house, drive it over there, and clean it up. I need to service it. It's coming up on an oil change. Get everything ready, because right now I got work till about August, I think. So I'm going to take these 2 or 3 weeks that are a little bit slow and catch up on some maintenance stuff, and this machine's going to get a little bit of a rest while everything else starts, all the other machines get used. I've also got to do a DOT road right up here too, so a lot of stuff to do. Everything just got to start. The schedule's lining up, waiting on surveyors and all that stuff, so a lot of stuff coming up. Just got to get everything ready can start. All right, keep grading away. It's a little monotonous, but can't listen to the radio on camera. YouTube doesn't like music, but radio's about to come on, so getting pretty close to being done now. I got about another 40 feet or so of shoreline grading out, and I feel like I'm gonna be good on the amount of dirt I've got left to make it work. Mud, clay, and wads of grass is what I've got left, making it all blend together. know it's a big pond. The pump's been running for going on almost 3 hours, and I can't tell that it's come up any. I don't know, you always hope that it's going to pump water faster than it does. I would have used a 3-inch pump, I didn't have enough hose. I honestly thought that water behind the pond dam would dry up quicker than it has been. I haven't been back down there in about an hour and a half or so, so it may be pumped down a lot more than it was when I come back from lunch. Have to do my drone video tomorrow. I'm probably going to go ahead and go get the pipe and put the overflow in. That way that's pretty much everything. I should be able to get everything done. I have to come over here tomorrow and do the drone video just because it's so windy. The drone doesn't like 15-mile-an-hour winds. I don't know, I might grab it and try it. Leave some sort of little swell right through here. I don't want all that water that comes off that field to go behind it. This pond needs every drop of runoff it can get. So I'll make sure that I make a little bit of because all that water is going to come down that path and then hit right here. I need to make sure that this is lower so it doesn't create a little berm and run right past it. Don't need to lose any more runoff than I can get, because there's not a whole lot that runs in here. It's mostly groundwater, and when it does rain, some runoff off the field. So I don't need to divert any of it from going into the pond. Spreading this out, and then go get the pipe to put the over. Come along pretty good. All I got left to do is that section right there. I'm gonna pull the pumps out today, get rid of them, but while I go on lunch break, I'm going to throw the 2-inch pump down here. All this water, it's just groundwater back here. Somebody said, why didn't you extend the pond down this way? Well, you run out of hillside to tie it into. Most likely that got logged a long time ago and it just got all rutted up and doesn't drain well. So when we pumped all the water down there, it just kind of laid in there. So I'm gonna throw the pump in there and actually pump some of it back into the pond, and that'll dry that out, and put some more water back in the pond now that I got majority of it dug out. So got the pump set back up down here at the bottom of the dam, and I'm gonna take advantage of all that water being back there and pump some of it back into the pond before I take the pump up this evening. I don't need it anymore. I got a little bit more to grade over there, but a little more extra water in the pond's not going to hurt anything, so I'm going to pump some back in here, and I doubt it would be enough to cover the bottom, but every little bit helps, right? So I'll let that do what it's going to do till this afternoon and get everything cleaned up. Coming along. Well, the pump's still pumping along here. Doesn't really look like that's gone down much. I'm going to take and dig a little hole for the intake to go in right there beside that tree and grab that 3-inch pump. So might as well take advantage of, like I said, the water that's down here. Plus it'll make the pond look better if the whole bottom's covered in it when I take my drone picture. That might be the main reason. Well, all that's done now. I got all the mud spread all the way around it. Went and got my pipe. I'm going to come over here and we're just going to put in a simple horizontal pipe through the dam. I'm not going to put in a big fancy overflow like I normally do. There's just no reason to on this pond. There's just not enough watershed. And I got plenty of freeboard on the pond dam. I probably got almost 2.5 feet of freeboard. What limits my elevation is I got the water set at the very top of the bank over there. Pretty much if I raise it up any higher, it's just gonna flood out into the field. So trying to avoid creating a wet swampy mess over there. So that's why I set the water level at that elevation. The pond dam's just taller than it needs to be. So I'm going to come down here and go ahead and cut the ditch in, set the pipe, get it covered up. All right, so like I said, just a simple little horizontal pipe. Got to stick a double wall going through the dam, single wall going down the slope to make the transition from here down to there. And now it's time to cover it up. So pond's got to come up roughly around 5 feet for it to get to the bottom of that pipe. Which puts it all, I mean, like all over that top edge over there. So it's going to look nice. This is just a simple little system, and like I said, that's all the water runoff that it has is just that field. So the odds of that ever getting slammed full, I don't think will ever happen. So just a nice little overflow to maintain the level. Who's ready for breakfast? We gotta go. Winston said this is not the right spot to get breakfast. I know, Winston, we gotta go by the job site and start the pump. It got too cold last night to leave the pump running while the pond's frozen. What do you think? Winston comes to work. Let me go start that pump up if the water behind the pond isn't frozen. Well, this is a no-go. Got a hole broke in the ice for the suction hose. Got that unfrozen to fill it up with water. Got the bucket frozen from the ground to get water. And I put about, I don't know, a quarter in there and it's full. So somehow last night I drained it all out, but I didn't think about it when I pulled that hose back out to get it out of the water. I think some water ran into the pump and it's frozen solid. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, I don't know how long that's going to take to thaw out, but the sun's hitting it directly, so maybe not too long. We'll try later. Winston, the pump was frozen. Oh no. Oh. Winston has to have a drool rag. He gets a little excited for tater tots. Alright, you only get 3. Alright, that's all you get. You get fat. What? So I finished up the pond yesterday, right before it got dark. And I came back over here this morning to cut the pump on, and it was frozen, so I'm gonna see if it's thawed out enough to pump anymore. If not, gonna let it be. But yesterday I started somewhere right over there and got all that mud graded up on that bank and spread out. And I did cut the pump on a little before lunchtime yesterday, so it pumped for about 6 hours. Probably put 40 to 50,000 gallons of water back in the pond. There was a lot kind of laying in the woods back here. I was like, well, might as well pump it back over and let it cover up what it's going to cover up. But I think when I pulled this, I drained the pump, and then I thought, I was like, well, I better pull the suction hose out. And I think when I did that, it put a little bit of water back in the pump, and it froze last night. I have a feeling, since it's already froze back around the hose there, that it's still going to be locked up. Yep, locked up solid. Oh well, is what it is. Might thaw out later today. Most likely not. Is that already frozen there? I was hoping that water in there would probably thaw it out. So let me unscrew that hose and see if I can see anything. I guess I didn't do a very good job draining the pump. We're not gonna be pumping today. Well, the good news is it didn't break it. Let's go ahead and drag this up here, and maybe the sunlight will get to it and thaw it out. Whoopsies. Well, at least the pump wasn't flame full, so it didn't freeze. So I'll go ahead and send the drone up and get you a good after picture. I think I forgot to add the before pictures to the first video, so at the end of this one you'll have the before and afters. Hope you enjoyed. When this thing thaws out, it's going to need, might be the muddiest I've ever had it. It is filthy and caked in there everywhere. I got pretty deep in the mud yesterday. I sunk down into a low spot over there trying to grade this bank. But I think that turned out nice. Let this dry out. Once he cuts his wheat, he can run over all this and disc it up and mix it all together. Yeah, it's gonna be nice.